This is an open letter for Mr. Jon Stewart. Love your shows, sir, for many years now. Uh, this is in regards to a recent interview that you had with Mrs. Clinton and Miss Condoleezza Rice. Now, I should first say that we all know that these two ladies are angels on earth, and they have nothing but love in their heart for all humanity. We all know that. They're angels on earth, such great people. And I'm sure both of them have, you know, trouble, worried sick about all the orphans that they have created in Iraq and Syria and now in Ukraine. And I'm sure they're both worried sick and they have trouble sleeping at night because of those orphans. However, uh, I would like to be a devil's advocate here and take a different approach. It has become customary that these folks, whether it be Democrat, Republican, all and any and all managers of Uncle Sam's business have it's become customary for them to basically say that wherever we go, we uproot whatever government we do, we destroy whatever civilization we do destroy, and we plow through whatever land we plow. We do it with good intentions, and we do it, to remove a dictator and to do this for democracy and freedom. It has become customary for Democrats to scream democracy and freedom, and for Republicans to say we did it for security. So wherever we attack, whoever we attack, the Democratic managers say we do it for freedom and democracy. We should ask meanwhile, we should ask Mr. Bernie Sanders how did democracy work for him. And so we do it. The Democrats say we did it for democracy and freedom, and Republicans say we did it for security reasons. We removed Saddam because of security. Anyway, but here's the thing. I'm playing a devil's advocate, and I'm thinking that maybe it's neither. Maybe it's neither. Uh, when they say we did it for democracy, or whether they say we did it for democracy or security or whatever, but they always hang their head low and say, yes, we know we fucked up. We weren't able to build the nation afterwards. After we uprooted the nation, uprooted the civilization, we plowed through their system. Unfortunately, we made a mistake. We couldn't put it back together again. So it fell on worse times than it was before. And they recognize that, and they say, yeah, we're very sorry, we couldn't put it back together. We couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and it was our fault, and bad that we couldn't put it back together. We are very sorry. But we still did a good thing. We removed the dictator. We got rid of a bad actor. Well, here's the thing, with regards to removing a dictator and bad actors and all of that, undemocratic actor, if you look at it that way, the whole Arabian Peninsula should be uprooted, because there is not a single democratic actor in the whole Arabian Peninsula, in the whole Middle East, the whole North Africa. Most of Africa, there is not a single democratic system. So just because you overthrowing a dictator and plowing through a system doesn't justify it, because then you have to plow the whole planet Earth, because a majority are not democratic. And we can get into that, into the why they're not democratic. Can they become democratic? Yes, they can become democratic over time on their own, because unless you raise your generation after generation of people with dignity and self-respect and integrity, unless you do that, you cannot have a democracy. Society has to become, the members of society have to be raised with, self-respect, integrity, and decency, and all of that, in order to be able to handle democracy. If your society doesn't have, honesty and integrity and self-respect, any kind of democracy you come up, you throw at them, they're going to turn it into a jungle in which, democratically, in a democratic fashion, the big and strong will eat the weak and the poor. Eat them alive, hunt them, as you guys, say. So democracy is not for everybody. It's for the intelligent and for the educated. Democracy only works for them. Anyway, that's that aside. My point is this: that I don't think that this nation building that didn't happen in in Iraq, in Syria, in Somalia, you know, in Chad, in in Nicaragua, in El Salvador, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. I think this not nation building that wasn't, United States managers who weren't able to pull it off. I think that's not a bug. That's a feature. I'm being devil's advocate, but hear me out. Here's the thing. Let me point out the advantages of the chaos created in Iraq for the upper echelon of the pink-skinned societies in the West. The advantages of the chaos in Iraq for the upper echelons, only the upper echelons of the pink-skinned societies. I will point out those advantages, benefits of the chaos in Iraq and Afghanistan, chaos in the rest of the world. The chaos in the rest of the world has many advantages for the upper echelons of the pink-skinned societies. And for that purpose, I think the chaos is not a bug that they create in other places in the world. It's a feature. They want that chaos. Let's start. First of all, we know that's what is obvious. The arms manufacturers in the West benefit from any kind of war that the pink-skin managers, specifically in Uncle Sam's, any kind of endeavor that they pursue with regards to war and invasions benefits the arms manufacturers. And as we know, these arms manufacturers have very long tentacles. So, and with the donations to their campaign, to the political campaigns, that is normal, expected. What happens is, when the politician makes a decision to invade another country, that decision by itself puts a lot of money into arms manufacturers' pockets. And now, how do the arms manufacturers return, give and take with politicians, is that the politician pursues two things. The short-term benefit of putting money in the arms manufacturer's pocket through, making decisions to go to war. The short-term benefit is that in these the military-industrial complex is going to do their best to re-elect this politician. So that's why it's become the norm that any politician that goes to war, any president that goes to war, it becomes it's a pretty good bet that they say that he's going to have a second term, because the whole military-industrial complex is going to donate enough money and create enough positive momentum for that politician that has taken the country to war, that he or she will be given a second term. So that's a short-term benefit for the politician. They're going to get a lot of donation from the military-industrial complex, from the arms manufacturers for their short-term political career. In the short term for their political career. In the long term, the politicians get, this is their pension plan. If you put enough money, if they know if they put enough money in the pockets of military-industrial complex with their long tentacles, the military-industrial complex is going to make sure that these politicians, once they retire, they have a good pension plan. Be on the board of directors of these corporations or those corporations, and be like Miss Rice in the in some cushy job in some educational institution, and anything, and book deals, anything and everything. Maybe some accolade from, in case of Mrs. Clinton, some honorary doctorate from some British higher education institution, as perks. The more accolades and the more honorary titles, the more money you can charge for speaking tours. And then regular speaking, and as we know, Mrs. Clinton, with that famous expensive speech that she gave to Goldman Sachs and other bankers, which so the whole thing is starting wars and invading other countries benefits arms manufacturers, and arms manufacturers being such a profitable business at $150,000 per Javelin missile, for example, is such a profitable business that they can help politicians within their short-term within their career and re-election, and long-term for their pension. So that's a give and take that we all know. That's what we see. That is obvious. But let's dig a little deeper and see what else, how else chaos in Iraq, for example, benefits the upper echelon of the pink-skinned societies in the West. One step further from these arms manufacturers, I'm not sure if you have seen all the pictures from all the gold that was taken out of Iraq. That benefits Federal Reserve, and in France and England it benefits their central bank. When this is part of the loot of the war, that directly these banks benefit from loading up the gold and silver and whatever valuable else that they can, and taking it to Fort Knox and other central banks. That's another part of the upper echelon of society in the pink-skin land that benefits from, invading other countries and creating chaos and keeping the chaos over there. There is, no accountability. Who's going to ask for it? Who's in charge? Who knew how much was there to demand what back? And please don't tell me that no, maybe not, maybe no. There are pictures of it. And then we also know that, for example, in case of Venezuela, they're demanding their gold back. They have been demanding their gold back from the fucking British. And the fucking British are saying, oh, we don't recognize your government. Fuck you. We are not giving back your gold. So it's this gold thing. Apparently it's very important. The British will not hand over people's gold for love nor money. So it does make sense that they take gold out of Iraq, because we see that they don't want to return people's gold back to them. So apparently it's very important to be in possession of that gold. So there goes the arms industry benefits, the politicians benefit. Here's the central banks and Federal Reserves benefit. Who else? You dig a little deeper. You see that in the chaos that is created, and if the chaos remains, who else benefits? Anybody dealing with historical artifacts and antiques. These folks benefit as long as there is chaos in Iraq. They benefit because of all these antiques and historical artifacts that keep pouring out of Syria and Iraq and anywhere else, Somalia and anywhere else that Uncle Sam's managers have created chaos, all this, antiques creates wealth. I mean, antiques are like cocaine. When it's on the field in some shithole in Iraq, by some village, that an antique may be worth $10, but the same antique in a luxurious apartment in Manhattan, that same antique is $10,000. It's like cocaine. It's like, depending on its location on planet Earth, its value is determined. So all the auction houses and all the collectors and all the dealers and anybody dealing with antiquities and antiques and historical artifacts has a heyday when there is one of these invasions that takes place, which brings the chaos. So the chaos is, if there is an invasion or a change of government, and the power is handed from this to that, and the whole system remains stable and secure, there is not going to be this benefit. The gold doesn't go missing. The antiques don't go missing. None of that happens. So the chaos is essential for the gold and the silver to go missing, and for the antiques to go missing. That chaos is essential. Let's dig a little farther, and this is, I left the best for the last. Any kind of chaos that you bring will result into scared money. If you want to force money out of an area on this planet Earth, you create chaos in that area. When there is chaos and insecurity and instability, private money, up to now we were talking about the national wealth, the gold and the silver, the national gold and the national silver, for example, in Iraq, and the national treasures in terms of the antique and historical artifact in Iraq. Up to now we were talking about the public sector, the wealth of the public sector. Now let's talk about the private sector. The wealth of the private sector leaves any part of this planet where you bring chaos. So although Saddam might be a dictator, might have been a dictator, but as long as he was he had kept the fucking place safe and secure, there were merchants, businessmen doing business, making, increasing wealth, making wealth, saving wealth, investing. Money, private money, was present in Iraq. It was present in Syria. It is present in Iran. Private money. But as soon as you can somehow destabilize these systems, no matter how fucking dictatorial they are. Again, we should go back and determine, make sure we understand that unless a population is very, very honest, understand honesty, honest, self-respect, dignity, integrity, unless a population has these characteristics, democracy cannot work. It has to be a dictator with a big penis on top of them in order to force them to behave, because they don't have integrity. They don't behave if you leave it on their own. Leave them on their own. So the point is this: security and stability doesn't matter how it's there, with a dictator or through democracy, doesn't matter. Dictatorship it is, because that's their population doesn't have integrity and self-respect and principles, so can't be left on their own, so they're much better off under a dictatorship. That's fine. But the point is, the wealth is there and still people eat. There is some wealth there to build some road. Private wealth is there to have some, shopping malls and some roads and some tunnels and some, subways and some trains and some planes and some everything else. A lot of it is private wealth. When you destabilize a system, an area on this planet Earth, when you bring chaos, private wealth is the first one to leave. Private wealth looks for security and stability anywhere in the world. So, for example, if tomorrow morning there is civil war in the United States, some of private wealth in the United States will leave for Mexico, will leave for Canada, may leave for Congo. You know, if United States becomes less secure and stable, then Congo, private money will go find its way to Congo. Do you see where I'm going with this? Doesn't matter where you are, if it becomes chaotic, private wealth leaves. And most of the wealth of the country is in private wealth. Any country, anywhere in the world, most of the wealth is in private hands. So again, maybe the chaos is not a bug, it's a feature. Where does this private wealth go? Private wealth from Syria, from Iraq, you know, merchants and businessmen take their wealth. London, Paris, New York, first into private banks. Now I guess it makes sense when Goldman Sachs throws a party in honor of Mrs. Clinton. I'm sure after Syria, after Iraq, after Afghanistan, after all of these countries, I'm sure their private, private accounts swelled to a great degree because of all this new scared money that has, rushed to safe and secure West from chaotic and insecure Iraq. Had security, had stability, fuck it. We got rid of a bad actor. Now bring your money to us. Over there is insecure. Bring it here in security. So the point is this. What happens is that it doesn't seem that the chaos that these Uncle Sam's managers and Pink Skin in general, the NATO in general, the chaos that they create in different parts of the world under pretext of doing good, I don't think it's a bug. That chaos is a feature. That's how you make money. That's how the upper echelon of the pink skin society brings wealth to their own land from those land. Just pushes, incentivizes wealth, destabilizes those areas of the planet, makes it unsafe and insecure. Private wealth leaves those land for secure places such as London, Paris, and New York. I mean, when you got, a pink skin government and you got an arsenal of nuclear weapons, there's very little chance these societies are going to be attacked by others. Therefore, you move your wealth to these societies. And of course, these societies in London, Paris, and New York, they all have these clauses in their immigration system that if you come here with a big bag of money, of course you're one of us. Of course we're going to facilitate your stay in our land because you have come here with a big bag of money. However, if you don't come with a big bag of money and you're considered as a refugee and there's a fat chance we're gonna let you stay, you might as well, jump and be shark feed right there in the Mediterranean or in the, Atlantic Ocean. So here's the thing, let's follow the money. Private money leaves Syria, leaves Iraq, it's chaotic, can't do business anymore, goes to New York, Paris, and London, in private savings banks, in private saving accounts, in private banks, so these private banks benefit. Where does this money go from there? Well, it's not making that much interest in these savings accounts. Where does it go? It goes into real estate. The price of real estate goes up in these pink skin areas of planet Earth. Who benefits from, increasing price of real estate in London, Paris, and New York? A lot of the upper echelon pink skins who own real estate in those areas already. So the value of their homes go up, value of their offices, their businesses, their apartment complexes goes up because all this scared money is coming out of Asia and Africa and South America. All this private money keep rushing into these pink skin areas of planet Earth, so the price of real estate goes up. Who benefits? The upper echelon of the pink skin society. Who doesn't? Again, the common pink skin man doesn't, because the common pink-skinned man doesn't have that much real estate in New York, London, or Paris. So the common folks in the brown and the black and the red skin and the yellow skin parts of this world suffer, and the common man in the pink skin parts of this world suffer. The common man everywhere suffer, but the only people who are benefiting from creating chaos in these shitholes, in these other parts of the planet Earth, is the upper echelon of the pink skin society. Okay, beside real estate, where does this scared money out of Asia, South America, Africa, where does this scared money that is running out of chaos after savings account and real estate, where else does it go in London, Paris, and New York? Into the stock market. What percentage of the pink skin society, for example, in the United States, owns stocks? 3 to 5%. Those are numbers. 95 to 97% of the American society doesn't own stock. 3 to 5% of American society owns stock, and there is no prize in guessing what 99% of the 3% are pink skin. So here's some scared money coming out of scared private money coming out of Iraq into Goldman Sachs, and from Goldman Sachs going into New York Stock Exchange and pushing the price of stocks of such and such a company up, which is owned 99.9% by upper echelon of the pink skin society. Again, who benefits? The upper echelon of the pink skin society. Now their price of the stocks goes up. So, I mean, a guy like Trump, for example, similar. Now we all know his name because he's been standing out recently, for a long time. But he stands out. But let's say Jack in New York City, he is part of the upper echelon of New York of pink skin society in Uncle Sam's land. How he benefits in every way when Iraq gets invaded. In every way. From his investments in an arms manufacturer pays off, profits, to his real estate that he owns in New York City and one of many capitals, state capitals, goes up, the value goes up because of all this private money that is coming in and buying real estate and pushing the prices up. His stock portfolio goes up in value because of all this scared money coming out of the rest of the world to buy his stock. So there is absolutely no downside for Mrs. Clinton or Miss Rice or their friends, the upper echelon of the pink skin society. There is no downside for them by creating and keeping chaos in the rest of the planet. Because in a chaotic planet, if you can keep your house safe when the whole neighborhood is on fire, if your house is the only safe house in the neighborhood, you benefit a lot. I mean, everybody's going to bring their valuables to their house, their woman to their house, Mr. Trump was mad and screaming on top of his lung that why the fuck are these Mexicans coming to the United States? We don't want Mexicans, we want Norwegians. Hey, Norwegians, don't you want to fucking immigrate here? We had enough of Mexicans. Why don't you immigrate here? And the Norwegians, laughed a little, cried a little. But he stated the problem. He stated the problem that we need more immigrants, preferably pink skin. Well, he stated the problem, and Mr. Biden came and solved the problem. Creating a war, enticing a war, pushing a war in Ukraine created now all, half the prostitutes in London, Paris, and New York are of Ukrainian origins. All these women and children from Ukraine had to run away because their 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 country turned into a shithole, and now half the available pussy in New York, Paris, and London are of Ukrainian origin. And problem solved, Mr. And I told him, I wrote a paragraph in when Trump actually said that. I actually wrote a paragraph as a comment on his Twitter account, and he said, all you need is a war in Europe if you want more pinkskins to immigrate to the United States. You need a war in Europe. Start a war in Europe. And Mr. Biden obliged. But the point is that there was a solution to Ukraine. There was a simple solution. As soon as if you didn't want chaos in Ukraine, as soon as you saw Russia's building forces on the other side of the Ukrainian border, you just sit down with the Russians. Mr. Biden would go and sit down with Mr. Putin and say, man to man, and say, hey, we don't want a war here. We don't want a bunch of refugees. We don't want half the fucking Ukrainian women turning into prostitution across Europe and North America. What do you want? You're worried? You have security concerns? Okay. We say that Ukraine cannot be part of NATO, and Ukraine states that they don't want to be part of NATO, and we keep Ukraine as a buffer zone. Does that solve the problem? And we try not to interfere in Ukrainian internal matters, as Mrs. Victoria Nolan had done so. We pulled back. Sorry, this is your backyard. You take care of it. Have a government friendly to Russia in Ukraine. Because it's your backyard, you can have a Russia-friendly government in Ukraine, and we pull our penis out. But that's not what happened. They wanted, U.S. administration, Uncle Sam's managers wanted a war in Ukraine. They fanned the flames. No, fuck Russia. They want to be part of us. They're in Russia's backyard. Do you remember in your interview, Mr. Jon Stewart, when Miss Condoleezza Rice said that, yeah, in case of Iraq, we had security concerns. That's why we invaded. And Afghanistan and Somalia and everywhere else. That's the Republican, catchphrase. Because of security, we can invade Mars if we want to. If we can. Well, if security concern is all it takes for one to have the right to invade a sovereign nation, well, isn't Russia doing the same? Russia has security concern. I mean, are you selling hypocrisy in a bottle? Everybody drinks from the same bottle? That, if we have security concern, we can invade any sovereign nation that we want. But if Russia has security concern, they can go fuck themselves. Let's follow the chaos theory. When the upper echelon of pink-skin lands, France, Britain, to an extent Germany, and North America, Uncle Sam's managers, the upper echelon of the pink-skin society creates these chaos in every part of the planet, and all they receive is benefits. Now, what is the other side of what is the other side of the coin? And you say, okay, what about Kuwait and Dubai and these countries? Why aren't they being invaded and chaos is not being created over there? Well, because they already have Uncle Sam's, NATO's military personnel on the ground, and they pay their dues. You see, the thing with Iraq was that Saddam was not paying Iraqi dues. What am I saying? Okay, here's what I'm saying. About a couple of years ago, there was piece of news came on Facebook that said uh, Dubai has sent its first Dubai has sent its first satellite to space. Okay. Then when you actually read the story, it was like Dubai had paid an American company in Japan where they have built the satellite, which then they handed over to United States, which sent it to space, and now that satellite is performing a function in space. And I'm thinking, is it Dubai satellite? What part of it is from Dubai? And I just added a comment underneath that news that the only thing Arab about that satellite is the check that was signed for its production and launch. And I was suspended. Facebook suspended me for 5 days to a week, for me, just because I stated a fact. The only thing Arab about that satellite was the check that was written for its production and launch. That was a fact. Now, when you, I no longer am on Facebook, because more and more, as we have seen, more and more, we are going towards this situation that certain facts, you're not allowed to acknowledge certain facts, because as Facebook put it, it goes against our community standards. When facts goes against your community standards, then fuck your community. Then rest in peace. Your community should rest in peace, because you don't have a community. If you cannot mention facts, then that's it. That's the end of your community, because the only way you can fix problems is if you recognize, if you can state the facts, and then if you find the facts problematic, then you can fix it. But if you can't state the facts, how can you fix it if the facts are covered up? Anyway, what is the connection? The connection is simple. These shitty Arab shitholes, that none of them are democratic, but none of them are, there are no plans in the pipelines to invade them and make them democratic and free, and the reason they're immune is because they're paying their dues. Simple as that. Dubai, this is an example of how they're paying their dues. They're actually literally paying in order to not to get invaded. They're paying. It's sort of like they're paying the upper echelon of the pink skin society in order to not be invaded. Sort of like the upper echelon of the pink skin society is telling the planet, the whole planet, all other races, either you pay your dues over time, you pay us protection money like a mob. The upper echelon of the pink skin society has been behaving like a mob for a couple of thousand years now. Starting from all the colonial, endeavors of the pink skins in Europe. Upper echelon of the pink skin society has been behaving like a mob for a couple of thousand years now. Pay us over time in increments, or if you don't pay us, we're going to sanction you, and we're going to embargo you, and eventually we're going to come and uproot you and take what's ours. Take our share. It's sort of like everybody has to pay a tax. Everybody living on this planet have to pay a tax a protection money to the upper echelon of the pink skin society in Europe, in Western Europe and Northern America. So there's another example. This one you can actually look it up right now. You go on Yahoo Finance and you look up BlackRock. I think their initial on Yahoo Finance is on stock market is BLK. BlackRock. Look it up. The second biggest holder of BlackRock stock security is simply stated as Kuwait. Now, BlackRock itself is one of the three biggest investment companies in the world. It's BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And BlackRock, its second biggest holder of its stock, of its assets, of its wealth, is stated as Kuwait, the country of Kuwait. Now, I'm assuming it's not really Kuwait, it's something called, probably most likely called as Kuwait National Wealth Fund, or Kuwait this, or Kuwait Royal Wealth Fund, or some fucking name like that. But what does that mean? They're paying their dues. They're paying protection money. They're taking money from the Middle East, where they have made that money, and they're pouring that money into Manhattan, in New York Stock Exchange, in Paris Stock Exchange, in London Stock Exchange, in Frankfurt Stock Exchange. They're making their money in the Middle East, but they're investing in the upper echelon of the pink skin societies. That's why they're not getting not only they're not getting invaded by the pink skin, but they're getting protection, just like a mob. They're getting protection from the pink skin. So if the neighbor to the north invades, suddenly the pink skins come to the rescue. It's protection money. While half of the Middle East is, underfunded, poor and suffering, but that money from that area of the world is finding its way to the pink skin capitals of the world, to the benefit of the upper echelon of the pink skin societies. Kuwait is the biggest investor in BlackRock, beside BlackRock. So either you pay your protection money in increments, or we're gonna sit on you and sit on you and sit on you and eventually attack you and pull everything out. Both your national wealth in terms of gold and silver and antiques, and private funds, just because we create a fucking chaos in your shithole. All the private money is also going to run for Goldman Sachs, and from there it's going to run for real estate and stock market in the pink skin land. But then you hear Mrs. Clinton and Ms. Rice coming out and saying, yeah, we made a mistake. Yeah, the chaos, that was unfortunate. We didn't mean to create chaos. We are just not good at nation building. We are very sorry. Bad. But we did a good thing. We removed the dictator. And they're saying it with a straight face. No, Mr. Stewart, I think the chaos that they create is not a bug, it's a feature. They mean for that chaos. That chaos is what brings home the dough. Meanwhile, the common folks in the black and the brown and the yellow and the red skin areas of the world, the common folks over there die and suffer and die and suffer. And the common pink skin in the pink skin area of the world, they also suffer and die. They take them over there to kill those motherfuckers. and then they come back with PTSD, and a lot of times they commit suicide, and they have trouble with their families. They have social problems because the old song about grow up in a civilized society, grow up in the city, and then taken to the jungle and told to kill. Old 70s song. It is this. It brings about PTSD, and they don't care. Just the fact that by attracting wealth, so much wealth from some parts of the world to other parts of the world, by just doing that, they make everything more expensive in the pink skin areas of the world. Just by doing that, they make things more expensive. That's why Americans cannot afford to live in America anymore. A common man in America has difficulty affording to live in America because so much wealth, because of the chaos that is created in other parts of the planet, so much wealth rushes to America that increases the prices so much that the common folks, the common pink skin, can no longer afford to live in London, Paris, or New York. There are many documentaries right now that London is empty. There are all these expensive houses and the expensive buildings in London that are purchased as an investment by scared money from the rest of the fucking planet. Scared private money has left the rest of the fucking planet and has rushed to London, bought all these buildings, as a safe haven for the wealth. And now Londoners, the common fucking pink skin in England, can't live in London. But the price of real estate are up. That's the result of the chaos that keeps the pink skin upper echelon keeps creating in different parts of the world. Yes, the money comes in, but it doesn't even benefit the common man in the pink skin land. It only benefits the upper echelon. 97% of Americans don't own any stock. So it doesn't really benefits them when a big Syrian businessman, a very wealthy Syrian businessman, moves millions of dollars from Syria to New York and buys stocks. The price of stocks in New York Stock Exchange goes up, but that only benefits 3 to 5% of Americans who own the stock, any stock. 97%, 95 to 97% don't own any stock or any real estate in New York. That businessman is not going to, buy a building in Oklahoma. He's going to buy, a piece of real estate in New York. There goes the price of real estate up in New York. Where did the money come from? Syria. Where did the money come from? Iraq. Where is the money going to come from? Iran. Let's create chaos in Iran. Let's see how much money we can pull out of that shithole. Mr. Jon Stewart, when you say, when they tell you that we are sorry, we meant well, and we didn't want the chaos, I don't think so. They're benefiting from the chaos created in all other parts of the world. They're benefiting from the chaos in Ukraine. The upper echelon of the pink skin societies in the West, in NATO countries, they are benefiting. It used to be. Here's what little has changed in colonialism. It used to be that the pink skins had to go over there and extract the material themselves and take it to the pink skin land and build something and export it and make money. It used to be the pink skins had to go over there and invade the country and extract the material from the land and refine it and then sell it and then make money. Now all the pink skins have to do, all the wealthy upper echelon pink skins have to do, is invade the shithole, make a mess out of it, make a pig's breakfast out of it, put it in chaos, and the wealth will come out to the pigskin land by itself. The pigskin don't have to do anything, don't have to refine shit, don't have to build shit. All it takes is create chaos, and the private money will run to you by itself. That is if, they don't pay their dues. Like, like in the mafia, if they do pay their dues, like in Saudi Arabia, they pay their dues. The stock market was going down. Uncle Sam's managers put a lot of money in the stock market during the pandemic to pull it up. There were a few companies that they couldn't, by law. These were the cruise ship companies that, because they're based in Panama, I guess. They do all their business in the United States, but I guess they're based in Panama, these cruise ship companies, Caribbean and Norwegian and all these cruise lines. So United States government could not actually put money in them because it would be, against the law. All they had to do is make a phone call to Saudi Arabia. Hey, these cruise ship companies are in trouble. The Arabs came in, price of the stock went up. They bought a whole bunch of the stock of the cruise ship companies on regular basis. And here's another thing, that this is again an indication of the racist system. The black people have this thing in the United States. The black people have this thing that they say that white people come into our neighborhood, make money with these big box stores, but they make money in these big box stores, and they take this money out of the neighborhood. They take this money that they made from us out of this neighborhood. So the money doesn't actually circulate inside the black neighborhood. It goes out of the neighborhood and gets spent somewhere else, or gets saved somewhere else. Doesn't bring any benefit to the neighborhood. This is inside the United States, and they're right. No local businesses, all big box stores taking money out, and black people just spending money, and none of them is making money in their neighborhood. Now imagine this internationally, that money is being made in Kuwait, but Kuwait is not spending that money to enhance the neighborhood in the Middle East, in Iraq, in Syria. That money is coming to the pink skin area of the world, getting invested with BlackRock. Dubai makes that money, however they make it, instead of investing that money in the neighborhood, in Syria, in Iraq, in Iran, in that neighborhood that is poor, can use all the help they can get. Instead of investing that money in that neighborhood, Dubai, signs a check and invests its money on a satellite that is being built in the pink skin area of the world, being launched in the pink skin area of the world, and benefits the pink skin area of the world. The upper echelon pink skins. That racism, movement of wealth from the black and brown areas of neighborhoods inside London, Paris, New York, United States, France, England, what the black people, the brown people, the minorities say, that the wealth keeps moving out of our neighborhood through these big box stores, moves out of our neighborhood to the pink skins. That's exactly what's happening internationally, where you want these small countries to pay protection money. They move this money from the neighborhood in the Middle East, from the neighborhood in Africa, from the neighborhood in South Asia, from the neighborhood in Central America, from the neighborhood You ask them, you want them to take that money and give protection money, give that money to the pink skin, upper echelon pink skins. And if they don't, they become bad actors, and chaos shall be brought to their land in order for all the private money to move out. Sort of like either you pay us, or eventually we're going to burn down your shop and take what's ours. Take our share. Take all of it. No, Mr. Stewart. I think the chaos is a feature. It's not a bug. They mean for the chaos. The chaos benefits the upper echelon of the pink skin societies. The chaos that they create in other parts of the world benefits them. So don't let them hanging down their head and saying, yeah, sorry, we made a mistake, we couldn't put the nation back together again, we couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again, we didn't have the skill set to put it back together again. Don't buy that. That's not the case. The chaos was the objective. The chaos is the objective. However they can bring it, by covert action through CIA and other covert institution, by overt action through military, or by media action. However, media action through, propaganda and media and pressuring and turning populations against their governments and trying to create some kind of fucking chaos in order to topple all governments everywhere, create chaos. Whichever land that is not paying us, paying the upper echelon of the pink skin society, whichever land that is not paying their dues, we're going to bring chaos one way or another to that land. Either by propaganda, through media, direct military action, or covert action. If you don't pay, the chaos is coming for you.